introduction.
No, you
I
don't.
forget what I.
We'll just capture what we capture. I just forget all the time. I do apologize. That's really interesting what you're doing in SOP training, because we are just working on a project of doing micro SOP training. And how we break that down, so it's again taking the word learning out of it and use the SOP as part of the everyday, as team building exercises and everything as well. So yeah, really really cool space that I think there's loads in that space.
Keen to hear a bit more about it later then, Kim.
Yeah, do. I mean, I can send you my meeting link, and I don't need to whatever here, but it's definitely breaking it down. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Teresa, is that right?
Tarsha, so you have to roll your R's a bit.
Whereabouts are you from that you have this lovely R rolling?
I'm Afrikaans speaking South African.
Yeah.
23 years later.
You can't take the girl away from her accent.
No. Hi everybody, so I'm Tarsha Ivans and I work with Foodstuffs. I'm in the same team as Munib. Unlike him, I've been there for 7 years, so my journey through Foodstuffs in the learning space has been quite interesting. I started off in the finance department, so we did the project that we rolled out SAP into all the stores, and I did the office training, the creating of the material and delivering of the training. Currently, the last nearly 4 years, I'm responsible for the front end of the store. So that is our checkouts and self-checkouts. So I create the training material for that, and I also do the training in stores.
You guys are coming to us from a really interesting background, and that's why I love doing these events, because you're also not dealing with English as a first language, and you're dealing with a variety of education skills and where people are coming from and wanting to do their training. And I do wonder sometimes in the online space if that's something we're not paying attention to enough. So, you know, please jump in and keep giving feedback on this, because your perspective is really valid, and it's something that I keep reminding the team of here all the time. So it's, yeah, really, really cool. I don't know what, nice to see your smiley face.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Eleanor. I'm working at the University of Auckland as a functional trainer. So I guess my role is, quite similar to what you were doing, Tarsha. So I'm developing, I guess, a training program for new staff at the university, and I'll be delivering those workshops as well. Yeah.
Oh, thanks guys, and welcome. And yeah, as I say, we've got a series of events going on at the moment, and it's really nice to do them and to connect. It's so valuable for us as well to hear your experiences, and hopefully it's a win-win and a gain from everybody. Renee has this wonderful saying about using the knowledge in the room, so I suspect she'll do that today. I'm going to share screen, Renee, and hand over to you. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, let's try this, eh? Oh, hold on. Before I do that, I've just got to do this. La, 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 la. Right. Oh, no, it's done the wrong one. No, there we are.
Here we go. Cool. So yeah, so this is what Kim said. It's all about how microlearning can be used in the blended environment. Next slide, Kim.
Yes.
So you're probably speaking to the people who know this, but the number one challenge for employees is finding the time for learning. As humans, we have a natural instinct to learn, and that means we're always looking for ways to do things better, whether it's work or home. But it's often the first thing that drops off when we running out of time, or something else comes in. And so the question really is how do we make time for learning? Learning makes us happy in the workplace, and so it's really important. After the nature of the work we do, it is the second most important thing in the enjoyment or the happiness of our work. So I think people in like roles like yourself, it's really important to sort of challenge and be innovative about how we can make learning embed into the flow of work. So over the next 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it ends up being, we're going to have a chat about the different ways we can be learning to the flow of work. And then at the end, we've got an example that we can work through or have a sneak peek at. And then we've got one that you can kind of QR code at the end and have a look at it, on your own or with your team or whatever you want to do. Awesome. Next slide, Kim.
Oh, can I just add something in here?
Yes.
Because you had something in here in your notes about this being a real problem, with people who spend time learning at work are 40% less likely to be stressed and are 39% more likely to be productive and stressful than those who are not. I had this conversation today with Shelby Ponte, who was at the conference as well. She's at the Palmerston North District Council. And we got talking about these podcasts that I've been watching with Josh Burson and Learning of the Flow of Work, and a whole pile of stuff with Nick Meckleton Smith and David James. If you don't watch the Learning Disrupt podcast with David James out of the UK, I love his stuff. It's real cool. Anyway, we got talking about how L&D and OD is always something when people are putting in a strategy plan that's seen at the bottom of the plan to get people engaged in it. It's never seen at the top. And how we need to be advocates to get it up near the top of that strategy. It should be the driver in the strategy building, not the bottom of the cliff stuff for how you get engagement for your strategy. And I think micro-learning comes into that a lot as well. If we're making time for learning, we're not giving it the priority, because I don't know if we're giving learning the space that it deserves and where it should be is at too. And I think the more we can empower people in their roles to speak up about that and to show what it can do for strategy, the better off we are as well. Yeah. It's such a cool conversation. If you want to know these links, I'll send them through. I'll just put them in the chat actually when I get a tick. It's they're cool.
Awesome. All right. So just because there's a small group of us, you have a think about what is something that you've learned in the past week. So it could be at work or it could be something at home. What's something that you've learned? And if you want to share that, think about what was it that you learned? Was it something that you intentionally learned, or was it something that kind of just happened? And did you learn it by yourself, or did you learn it with someone else? Just have a quick think. Maybe Kim could put those comments in now.
I'm working on it. Someone else can talk. Let someone talk. Please share with us what you've done.
Right, I'll start.
Yeah.
I live on a small holding. We've got a few chickens and a few fruit trees and a veggie garden and the likes.
Yeah.
And what I got into this week, which is really interesting me, is self-sufficient living.
Yeah.
And I'm on the roll collecting toilet rolls and all sorts of things. And I started pickling and what else
Nice.
did I do? Drying my fruits and stuff. So I'm learning quite a lot.
I love that. That totally pushes my buttons, and I know it's going to push Renee's as well, because I don't currently live on our small holding, but I still own it in Christchurch, and I'm living up here in Auckland. And I spin and knit and process natural fibre, so I love taking fibre right from the beginning, and I love doing fruit and stuff, and it's so rewarding and so fulfilling, and that's a good way of taking learning out of the conversation. That couldn't be a better example of how you take learning out of the conversation, and instead focus on the outcome, and what you do and what you say.
Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah, really. Anybody else?
Yeah, I can share a bit of an example as well. It's the month of Ramadan at the moment, so there's a lot of prayer and worship going on.
Yeah.
And someone asked a question or made a statement yesterday about a particular matter around the etiquette of listening to sermons, and then that sort of led on to some discussion around different perspectives. And then that caused me to do a little bit of research around what some of our scholars say around the etiquettes of listening to sermons. And then I looked up different viewpoints, and then I shared some of those viewpoints by photo, by sending links, and then it turned into a little bit of a group session, during the conversation as well. We're having these different perspectives, but then even post, I was using WhatsApp to share some of the images of some of the opinions, and that discussion carried on. So yeah, it was I guess unintentional. It was just a topic that came up, and then not only was it individual learning because I was studying myself, looking into these viewpoints, but then I also shared using social media to make it group learning.
And you
Awesome.
and you've built relationships as well during that process, and got to know the people a bit better too. Yeah.
Yep.
Real cool. Actually, I'm going to stop share screening for a bit while we do this. Ellen, well, have you got any examples?
No, I've been thinking about it. It's something that did come up this week. We had a really interesting student case. So a student called in very adamant that she'd studied this program at the university. And turns out she didn't. And yeah, me and another colleague went on a long little search trying to figure out what she was talking about, how she'd reached this point. And yeah, no, just that curiosity. Both of us ended up spending half our lunch trying to figure out how she'd got there. But yeah, we got really invested in her case. And yeah, it was just good to be able to crack the case, solve something that, yeah, and help that student. So no, that was, yeah, something interesting.
And that's yes, I bet she'd done it somewhere else, had she? She had done the course, but she just didn't remember where she'd done it.
Yeah, she couldn't remember where she'd done it, but she knew she'd done it in Auckland, and she said she'd done vet nursing or something. So we pieced it back, and she'd done it in the 80s, so it was quite a while ago. And she was like, "No, I know I've done it at Auckland University." And we figured out that the names of the universities had changed over time, and it was actually that college was taken over by AUT. Yeah. So we just went on a long tangent, and we were like, which building? She was like, I was at this campus, and we were like, where is that? And yeah, we had to pull out all the maps, everything.
I'd be the same, because when I did a topography apprenticeship, and I fall into the same batch where all the names changed, and I couldn't tell you where I did it from. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so we pieced it together, and we were like, okay, like we know exactly what course you've done, we know where you've done it, but it wasn't here. It wasn't here. So no, yeah, sort of just pulling together that for her, which is good.
Interesting how learning crosses over to customer service in that space, and how you make somebody feel, and how you leave them feeling after it. Look, I would like to give a learning example of where sometimes we just need to recognize what we're learning, and like it just happens in our everyday. My husband's had a knee replacement operation, and so he had one 10 years ago, and it didn't go so well, and his knee locked up. So I've been very active in his pain management and looking after him this time. Basically, I'm just not leaving it to him to do, and I'm putting myself in place. And so I've had to use lots of skills in handling the drugs and managing the drugs and breaking it down, and what I've learned over my life. And because they affect his tummy, which is why he doesn't like taking them, and why we got into that place. And it just really made me think about how being a mum of 5, and how I've managed people's health for so long with a bloody topography background and no nursing background whatsoever, of what you know and what you don't know, and how you just need to sometimes just actually stand up and go, I do know this, and I've got it, and I've learned it. And I think that that's what we need to do in workplaces, is what learning is actually happening in a social environment that you guys have described, and call it out. Let's recognize it as little micro incidences, so people feel good about what they've achieved. Yeah. Renee, what have you learned?
Oh, I was thinking that mine's like a really tiny one, but yesterday we were trying to stream, staying in a hotel in Waiting, and we were trying to stream a show, can't remember what it's called, to the TV in the hotel. And every time we plugged the HDMI into my MacBook into the TV, it would like speed through the video really, really fast. And so, great example of micro experiential learning, which I'll define that in a moment, was learning in the moment to solve a problem. I Googled it. I needed to turn the computer off and turn it back on with the HDMI cable plugged in, and then it worked. So hot tip. So I guess what we've just talked about, two types of learning. So micro learning, we just bite-sized, often one learning outcome or one thing we're trying to learn, often 5 to 10 minutes long. In my case, it was probably about 30 seconds. And some of you also we're obviously a little bit longer. And the other side of that is also experiential learning. So it actively engages people in the real world. So it's something that's happening at the time, maybe problem solving, might be a bit of reflection. There's an example shared of that. So when we can combine micro learning and experiential learning, then I think that's when the real learning happens, and that's when people start getting excited about what they're doing, sometimes without even realizing that they're learning.
And it's been
learning doesn't have to be. It has, and it doesn't have to be like an overt exercise, right? So, wrong screen, Kim.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
What have I done wrong?
So like back in the day, with people learning to cook or play the lute or like instruments, or currently 5-year-olds learning to ride a bike, or when people get older and they take up an apprenticeship, and they learn to use a particular saw, and then they build the skill and can ultimately build a house. It's sort of incremental steps, using incremental bites of micro learning. And now with technology, we've got LMSs, and I guess improvements to LMSs and how they can facilitate the learning experience. More technology available to us that's on mobile phones. We've got, as L&D professionals, we've got a really good opportunity to take micro learning and experiential learning and wrap the technology around that. Do we have anything to add, Kim? Or
No.
Oh, good.
I just really want people to recognise, I just keep coming back. If we take learning out of it or change the definition of learning, it's just something that you've always been doing, then you're going to feel better about yourself, and you're going to be more capable and wanting to take it on in the workplace and not be so scared of the process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go to the next one?
Yeah. So a lot of businesses, when they come to us for online micro learning, the question is how do we roll this out? How do we make it part of? How do we make it something that people do? And so some the word has completely escaped me. User models, sorry, of how we can support people to introduce the learning into the flow of work. So I'll run through those, but we can send you the information in a bit more detail, or give you the links to our webpage where we cover this in a bit more detail. The first one's.
I actually want to put this up here. I think we should have this as a slide for what the definitions are. So I'm actually going to put this up here so you guys can see it.
Okay. I'll just summarize them. Yeah.
And you can just summarize it. Is that too small? Can you see it? Anyone can just give me, thumbs up's good. Sweet. Thanks. Go for it, Renee.
Cool.
I'll scroll.
So onboarding, right? So the first 90 days of someone starting in an organization is pivotal, whether, how long they'll stay. So giving that really good onboarding experience is really, really important. Onboarding can often be like click, click, click. Yes, I've read the policy, done. What value do people get from that? Don't know. So how do we embed micro learning into that onboarding experience? And like Kim was saying, take the learning out of it and actually wrap it just into that experience. So if people are doing job shadowing, or they are learning a new system as they are performing a role, like in customer service, I guess a lot of that is quite incremental when you learn to answer the phone and then you learn to, do the next step. Rather than making it such an obvious learning moment, it's sort of embedding that micro learning into the flow of work. So how do you wrap it into the natural onboarding process without sort of taking them out and saying, now we're doing a learning exercise? So coming up with some ideas to help with that. And in the conference, we did come up with a couple of those ideas, and we've captured them on some post-it notes. And so Kim's got those as well that we can share, which were quite cool. Some really innovative ways to use technology as well, which is awesome. The second one's build your key taste. So when got a learning management system, you know, you can host a whole heap of content in there. I think the question here is around how do you curate content? So when people need to pick up a piece of learning because they are going to do something they haven't done before, maybe performance improvement plans, maybe they're a new leader, maybe they're picking up a new system, giving them something that they can dip in and out of when they need it, and curating that in a way that it's easy to know, you know, what tool, what resource is going to help them most at the time. Organization wide. So I think a lot of the time this is used for compliance. You know, we've got a new code of conduct, or we've got a new health and safety process, or whatever. How do you roll learning out to people without it seeming so tick boxy, and rolling it into the flow of their workday? So I think the key here, and this was also, I think, came through Australian workshop in the conference, was how do you leverage the other sort of people strategies to wrap learning into that? So how do you use your internal comms team to share the messaging and to create those really strong links of strategy so people understand why they need to do it, and then when they're doing it, it doesn't seem such a tick box exercise. I think this is the trickiest one to sort of overcome.
Yeah, I think this one and the next one hit for the blended environment as well.
Yeah.
So how are you doing it into your face-to-face mahi as well? You know, introducing that mahi or following it up with it at the end.
Yeah.
And whether that's you, as if you are in, which we all are here at the moment in this role, in a permanent in-house role, but it's just as relevant as if you're in a contractor role or a consulting role as well. You can leave the business with something that can be measured about for them. Yeah.
And the last one is team meetings. So, you know, lots of organizations are really wanting to, you know, build high performing teams and focus on team performance. So giving teams tools, learning tools, or we just call them tools, to learn together or to do activities together. That might be, you know, before the meeting, complete this quick reflection activity, which may have some sneaky bits of learning in it, and then come to the meeting prepared to discuss XYZ, or we're going to come up with a set of actions. So it's not so overtly learning, it's just preparing for the meeting.
I can follow up. Should I put these in the follow-up from the meeting as well? Would you like to see these definitions come through in an email as well as a follow-up from here? Is that a good idea? Everyone's nodding, are they? Yeah.
I think with those post-its too, because I would have some really good practical examples of this. Yeah.
So Renee, you've called these user models, have you? These are user models. Yep. Cool. Yeah, it'd be great to see a summary of what we all writ up in the session. Under the 4 different posters that you had up.
We've done all of that. Yeah, we've put all of that up there. Kirsten, welcome. Sorry, we can't see you there, but thanks for joining us.
Apologies, team.
Don't worry.
I'm in a child commute, school holidays and all that, so I'm listening along.
Don't worry, that's all cool. But we don't care what you look like if you want to turn your camera on. We're quite happy. Next, is that where I'm going now, Renee?
Yeah. So this here is an example of, I think this is probably best used in a build your kite type model where, you know, you have a pool of resources that people can pick up as and when they need it. So this one is called Building Your Team. And
I'm going into the module?
Yeah. The purpose of this module and a lot of the other ones in our leadership series is that it's not so much to be seen as a piece of learning, but as a tool. So someone doing this module would be someone who is the leader of a team. They may be a new leader of that team and, you know, stepping into a team that already exists, or they may, you know, just sort of want to be focusing on a particular element of their leadership capability. What was that, sorry?
I'll just mute myself. I can't off.
If you just skip to the next slide, there's no more sound.
Okay.
Yeah. And sorry, where was I? Okay, yeah. So what you'll see a lot of in our leadership modules is that you take a problem or an opportunity that you're dealing with yourself, and you put that into the module and absorb some learning through it, and then apply it to your scenario as you go through. And so at the end of it, you may have come up with a solution, you may have a set of actions, you may have a goal, or you may have a development plan for yourself in the case of our communication for leaders module.
Should we look at that?
we can, I may send the code through to that one if you want. It's a bit longer to work through that one. Up to you. So this one here is about, it's using the Tuckman's stages of a team. And yeah, so I've kind of just clicked through here. So here we're talking about, it's giving that, I guess, inspiration, right? It's giving you a bit of that base knowledge about what are the 5 stages of a team. So it will introduce the 5 stages here: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. And yeah, the first part of the module goes through and explains what each of those stages looks like and what you would see if your team was in those stages.
So I'll just race through this, should I?
Yeah.
As fast as you'll let me click the next button.
Yeah, that's such a great model, that one there, around how teams form and then norm and storm,
Yeah.
and then perform, and then what's that last one?
Adjourn, which I
Yeah.
was actually, developing the module, you pick up a lot of the content. And to me, it was actually a reminder of adjourn, and I was like, oh yeah, like it's just as important as all the other steps. So once you've got the inspiration, it gives you the opportunity to go, okay, so based on what I've learned, where is my team at? And then can select one of the stages.
So where's my team at? Oh, we don't want them there. No, we'll go for the adjourning one because that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, so you have to move the dial to select the stage.
Oh, that's right. I'm done.
Cool. And so then what that does, it goes, okay, so you're at the breakup stage. And it's asking you some questions. So what's happening in your team right now that places you at the adjourning stage? So can put whatever in there.
Because it's relevant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Renee's scenario.
Renee is leaving.
Who's got one? What is happening in your team right now that places you at the adjourning stage? I should have asked you what stage you wanted to be at. That might have been a help, mightn't it? So what could it say? Oh, I know, I've got one.
Projects completed.
No, Renee is leaving. Having completed the team's work, what is the next thing your team member needs to do? Can I put you in? Does this work?
Yeah, I think so. We can test it out.
Okay. What is the next thing your team member needs?
Well, you need to make sure that I have a good handover for the next person coming in.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can tell we didn't practice this in any way, shape, or form, can't you? Right.
Cool. Next. Oh, and that just is there for more thorough. I can't read
analysis.
For a more thorough analysis. Yeah. So it's just an activity you can actually do offline if you want to do that with the team. Yeah. So it's just a resource that you can refer to
cool.
later.
Right, I'll go to the next one.
Yep. And then here, so one size doesn't fit all. The stage of your team should influence the type of leadership approach you take.
I might end up falling on my own sword here.
Let's take a look at how you can support your people. Okay, so because we've said we're at the adjourning stage, that means we, as a leader, need to be an enabler. So that means it needs to be recognised for their efforts.
I told you I was going to fall on my own sword.
So as a leader, you need to X, Y, Z, and the things that you should be asking yourself. So click next.
Every single one of them. Just so you know, I've asked myself every single one of them.
And so then here's the opportunity to go back. Okay, so if my team was at one of these other stages, what do I need to be doing at one of those stages? So we could click through to one of those if you want to have a look.
Just like the example that we're working through with you here, the whole idea is that you're actually using this as a tool, not a piece of learning, because you're actually working through your team scenario as you go through, or a problem you might be having. And we're moving into the problem solving space, not the learning space. It's
the experiential
I love it.
Learning.
Yeah.
So then if we were at the performing stage, we would need to be a visionary as a leader. And then it gives us the information we need there. So you can just click next, okay?
Okay.
And then we've looked at all those, so we can go next. And then my actions. So earlier identified that we're at the adjourning stage. We needed to move on to the next stage. We need to make sure Renee has completed all of her handover notes. And at this point in time, to have the best chance of success, I need to be an enabler. What action can you take to get your team to the next stage? And so then Kim can capture an action that she wants to take. Just XXX if you want.
I'm going to finish this off.
Okay.
I can.
Oh, I'm done. And how will you know if you have done that?
I've found a successful applicant. I'm not going to type that in. I'll just go blah, blah, blah. And your team stage will change. Feel free to come and work in this module at any point to refresh yourself. Oh, what's going on there?
I'm not sure. I'll have a look.
That was a bandwidth thing, I think. Yep.
And we're done. So that's, maybe 5 minutes. And then what Kim can do there is print that page if she wants to take those actions and print them out, save them as a PDF or whatever she might want to do. So when you have that document, PDF or printout, then you can take it to your meeting with your team. Or you could take it if you're in a team of leaders, you could take it, to your team leadership meeting, or you could take it to the meeting with your supervisor or people leader to discuss development or whatever. So really short and sharp piece of micro learning, but it allows you to work through a problem. So you don't see it as so much of a learning activity, but more of a problem solving tool.
Yeah. Go for it. Take a shot at this QR code and do have a go yourself. This is part of our effective leadership package. And so Renee's developed a whole pile of modules that are used like this as tools, and it's just another way of seeing micro and using micro in your everyday. So the whole idea of today was to just expand your thinking, to give this micro buzzword a bit of meaning and to just see where else it can go and what else it can be used for. I mean, we are a library of micro e-learning libraries, so it's in our best interest to sort of expand your thinking and challenge you, but we want to be challenged back because our stuff's only as good as the community we build and for the feedback that we get back from it, which is why we played such an active role at the conference as well, because when we're doing stuff, we offer tailoring. We call our modules templates so people can come and tailor them over the top, because when you tailor it, you're telling us all those needs and we use that to do the next updates and make it better. Has anyone got any questions or queries or anything? We're almost at our time.
No, there's some. Yes.
Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh no, I was just going to say, thank you for putting the session together and some great insights there as well. It'd be great to see the summary of what people suggested as well that fall into the different user models. Yeah.
You're welcome, and we're more than happy to share them. Please don't hesitate to come back and ask. Are you using micro in any way at the moment, and do you see a new way of doing so?
Yeah, we aren't so much. We probably aren't using it to its fullest possibility, but we've heard so much. It's the buzzword right now, right? Microlearning. You embed learning into the flow of work and short, sharp, and to the point. And it's something that we've been thinking about, and then we need to implement into the next sort of period for us. ATIS, yeah, that's sort of the phase that we're going through at the moment.
We want to give it meaning. I want to take the meaning away from these buzzwords because they're just buzzwords and people don't necessarily know what it means. And microlearning has got so many different connotations to what it comes to and where it can tie back into. And that's why we created the user models for it, so that you can see how it can be used. People think of it as online, and to us, having learning behind a piece of glass isn't going to do you any good. It's how you use that screen to share knowledge, to start a conversation and to bring it into your real world, to be able to take that learning and embed it into your life and make it part of it. And I think that's, you know, I use the word learning there, and I'm giving myself a mental slap going, how do you use that to grow your personal growth, you know, to take that to the next step, because that's really what it's all about. Yeah. Yeah.
Renee used a couple of descriptions. You know, she said bite-sized 10 minutes in terms of micro learning and one objective at a time.
Yeah. And I think it's recognizing, to me, the best place to start is recognizing the little pieces of micro that you already have that are happening in your organization or in your teams on an everyday basis. Yeah, it changes the focus of it changes the headset and the mindset from that bums on seats sort of attitude of learning. Yeah.
You can even start rephrasing those things. So not even changing what you're doing, but just rephrase them and then sneak other bits in. Yeah. I was just going to say, so the module that you would have QR scanned before, that's aligning culture and expectations. So that's another part of that leadership series. It would pair really well with the building your teams module. It's all about how do you look at the values of the organization, and then what do you do to kind of take those values and then put them into your team and set some clear expectations for your team. So again, nice, short, sharp. Have a go.
Oh, thanks. I just wanted to mention something quickly. Kim, you said before recognizing different cultures and languages and the likes. So I would just like to share with you, when Manip sent me this course and say, hey, look at this, you're interested. And I looked at it in micro learning and making learning almost invisible. And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to make it invisible. What's up with that? And just being on this, I really appreciate it, because I've got a completely different understanding as to what I assumed it was going to be. And for me now, it's basically every day, everything that you take in is that little tidbit, that little micro learning. And how am I going to portray that to a team to make use of that? So thank you.
Yeah, change the conversation, eh? Change that conversation. Yeah, and that's, to me, what it's all about. That's the key of it that needs to happen. Especially when you look at those stats, and I'm going to go back to them, that Renee had right at the beginning of the slide. And sorry, they're not on your one, they were in mine.
Oh, I've got them. Yeah.
That whole,
so 47% less likely to be stressed and 39% more likely to feel productive and successful if you embed learning into work, or if you actually invest time for learning or not learning at work.
So I'm just put with me hopeless at multitasking. I just put my meeting link, I think I did, into the chat. I need to put my glasses on to make sure I actually did the right thing. So if you want to explore further, you know, please don't hesitate. I run an open calendar. Just jump into my meeting link and book a time that works for you. And we can open our library up for you to explore the modules and assess them for your workplace. There's no obligation or anything. We just need to get the word out there, and we just want to enable and show people a different way of doing stuff as much as possible. So please don't be afraid to explore, and let me open a portal for you and preview. Yeah. Hey, it's 1:16. We did good. Look, really, really nice to meet you all. Thank you so much for jumping in and being part of the discussion with us. We really, I'm so grateful for everybody, contributing, and because the knowledge really, really is in the room. So thank you, and thank you, Renee. Don't go.
Thank you, everyone. It was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all, and I hope we connect again. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you all.
Much.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks.
See ya.